Warhammer 40k Darktide is a step back to the classic horde shooters of the ages and a name that I'm certain you've heard of, but most likely one that slipped through the cracks of time due to its rushed release and previous failure to provide a game that was both functional throughout all of the errors and crashes and truly enjoyable gameplay. With the recent patch 13 class overhaul, the game has really started to shape up to what it should have been long ago. With the mountain of builds that you can now try to create with each of the 4 class variants, each with their own subclasses and skills, is incredible and much less meta than it was before. Even something as basic as the crafting system, which was a complete joke upon its release, is now much more fleshed out and really speaks to those seeking to fully min-max their characters. Unlike other games that use minimaps and large directional indicators in every single situation, this game is all about the immersion. It does not use a map, instead relying on the highlights of in-game character voice comms to inform teammates of vital places and incoming dangers. The game really does a fantastic job of making the audio the major attraction and truly immerses you into the universe of 40k. Every mission, as long as it's of a higher difficulty, is difficult and never ending in its tense moments. You might find yourself in a really difficult level where the monsters simply never stop hunting you, as well as some of the heavier components such as a Nurgle infestation or a fully armored swarm. In almost every scenario, each class has their own set of resources. It definitely makes you think about what you want to swap out and incorporate into your next run, rather than you just sitting on the same builds every single time. It's an excellent technique to encourage players to try new things. The risk that you take and the reward that you get for completing it really pushes you to challenge something like that. I wasn't thinking too much of this game after returning from my 2022 beta encounter, but I became so enamored with the game that 1 hour quickly turned into 5 hours, and 5 turned into 18 consecutive hours of non-stop gameplay, until I was max level and taking on the difficult auric missions with friends and randoms of various personalities. This is what works. This is what's fun. It's thrilling and blindly satisfying, as you slice and carve your way through hordes of monsters at times, while also dealing with the tense and heart-pounding moments when you feel like this could be the end, after coming so far, only to succeed somehow in the end and pull off a successful mission. Now, this is not to say that the game is without flaws. The game is still plagued by the back-end error, 3014 error warnings, and among other issues. It's become so common that people just accept it, which is bad since it's not something we should accept as gamers. Warhammer Darktide, like many, unfortunately had a very rocky start. It's terrible to say the least, but you should really consider pushing past that and treating this game with the respect and positive reinforcement that it does deserve. The game is no longer about forcing cosmetic MTX down your throat. Instead, the gameplay, which has never not been fun, is difficult to put down and difficult to understand why everything had to go so wrong where it did. This game is a lot of fun for me since it brings me back to a period when horde shooters and co-op games were actually fun for me to play with friends. It's not difficult to see that developers release half-complete games all the time and incrementally polish them over a few years until it resembles something that you can call a good game. These types of games do usually bounce back with full force, but they do leave a never-ending impression on the community that is only going to get worse as the future of games hang in the balance of people who will continue to purchase them because it just works.